Hello, hello, hello. Mic test, mic test, mic test. So hello guys and welcome to the 172nd edition of the Trading Opportunities webinar. This is your host Nirav, and before actually beginning with the webinar, just give me a few moments. We'll then do a little bit of introduction and then get started with the actual content. So those of you not familiar with my work, my name is Nirav. I am the admin owner of the website 50 Eyes Market Analysis, where as well as the 50 Eyes Market Analysis YouTube channel. Using these resources online, I have been presenting my work since last 10 years almost. And this particular webinar series, this is the weekly webinar series called Trading Opportunities, which is conducted every Friday. And today we are late, but generally the timing we try to get started at around what you call 4:30 p.m. GMT. Right. Before I get started further, I'll just like to check few comments and see from the live chat if everything is working fine. Well, the comments are looking fine. Looks like the stream is working. So in that case, I'll just check one more thing. All right. So everything is working fine. So in that case, let's get started with the webinar. And yeah, one more thing before we get started. In the past 170 webinars, we have captured a total of 427 trades. That brings us to check what is happening, what has happened in the last one, 171st. Right. And apart from all that, you can check my past accuracy here by visiting 50eyes.com/forecast accuracy. We have a complete track record of 6 or so years. And if you are new, you can check the Elliott Wave video course. And if you are already well versed in Elliott Wave, you can check the book Think with the Markets, available on Amazon. So that's it for the quick introduction, etc., whatever you would call it. So the general process we go through is we will check what happened in the last webinar, and then we will discuss the current live chart in this webinar. So let me see, push it to 1080p. So let's get started here. Let's check what was happening in the last discussion, which was connected on the 15th of this month. And this is the chart of EURUSD on screen. Let's get started and check the actual discussion here. 1 second. Right. So looks like in the past discussion also we were looking for long consideration on this counter. And basically the setup was, as is clear, is we were looking for wave 3 in play, and the trigger level was 1.17585. So above 1.17585, we will be looking for long consideration on this counter. That's the setup, and the count is wave 1 up, 2 down, and 3 up. So here's the live chart, and 1.17585 has not yet been breached. This is the alert line, although it is looking more or less like it is going to fire us into the long setup. So here it becomes more of a breakout trade. Basically, I'll be looking to add longs above 1.17585, or to better, or to be more clear, actually above 1.17830, or whatever this high is at your hand. Do keep in mind that we are using this data feed. So if you are using another data feed, the prices will vary a little bit. So just check the swing high here, and above it we can look for breakout long consideration. Of course, the stop loss will be placed here. And in this particular case, our entry is coming roughly around 1.17830. Right. So above this, we are looking for long stop loss consideration around 1.15810. And alert is fine. Count wise, we are just considering an impulsive continuation. So basically, we are looking for something like this. Let me just remove all this. If we are correct, we are looking for something like this. So that's the play, and we are roughly somewhere in the middle over here for the wave 3 here. Second view could be that this market can just go sideways a little bit with a little bit expansion of the range, let's say within this white box zone. It can just break out, go up, and then give a big pullback and then take off. That is also a consideration, or that is also a theme that can play out. Right. So keeping that in mind, it is still a long setup and it should still be playable nonetheless, at least from a swing perspective. With that being said, I think I'm done with the discussion here. It's more of a very clear market. I have nothing to add here. I'll just look at the comments, and if you guys have any doubts on the current discussion, just let me know in the live chat. Good evening, Raghu, one of our private Slack group member. Thank you for the confirmation about the audio and video. And hello, Bharti, and thank you for the confirmation here. Hello, Joe. Again, nice to see you here, one of our private Slack group members. And I don't see any questions here. If you are clear, just type in understood or clear, or type in the query, and then we'll move over to the next chart. Thank you for the confirmation. And Raghu and Joe is saying, can't wait for the wave 5. Looks to be a good long trade to take. Wave 5, it should be wave 3 in the comment, right? Joe, I think you meant wave 3. All right. So with that being said, let's now head over to our next chart, crude oil. And we'll just, as always, first of all, look at the, yep. As always, first of all, we'll just look at the past discussion and then move over to the live chart data. We had a crude short trade we discussed in the last webinar, live trade. And then we had the analysis of a diagonal. We were looking for wave 4 here, and wave 4 was about to complete. Nevertheless, we had the setup that once the red channel is broken to the upside, we'll look for long setups. So that kind of remains literally the same. Nothing has changed in that regard. Anyways, we'll still look at the live chart and see how things are going. So let's head over to the live chart now. On screen, crude oil, crude oil, crude oil, crude oil, crude oil, crude oil. There it is, live chart on screen here, and there is still no confirmation here on this counter. It is literally, the situation is literally as it was in the last discussion. I have placed an alert on this trend line, the red channel above trend line. Once the market goes above it, we will see an alert. So basically the setup is simple. You want to see the market go above it and possibly test it. If we get a test, then that's a classic Elliott Wave setup, or price action setup, I should say. Not even Elliott Wave. And that can lead us to a rally. In a situation like this, the trigger becomes the last high. So this high will then become the trigger, and we will look for going longs or buying this counter above this level. So that's just a hypothetical scenario. The market doesn't always have to break the trend line and then retest it. It can simply break and then go up. That's also a possibility. But I'm just discussing the most ideal kind of setup that we can capture here. And that's the bullish scenario here. We wait for this trend line to break. And this is a high time frame analysis. As you can see, we are on a daily time frame. There is a counter view here which suggests this market will not do anything of this sort, and it will just continue in its downward trajectory. And it can just go here and so on and so forth. I'm not going to discuss that scenario in any detail unless we see a break below, what is this level, 61.24. So below 61.24, we will be cautious that there is a bearish scenario that can play out, and as such, I'm not discussing it because it can become a little bit complicated or confusing for the audience on the live webinar here. But as for the private Slack group, we do post all important scenarios, and of course, I am always on these markets and I'm tracking and trading them all the time. So that's it. What do you call, analysis invalidation below 61.24, and long setup, as we just discussed with these arrows, we are looking for upside. So H1 is H1 is suggesting upside movement and invalidation level is 61.24. There is nothing new here. It's literally the same setup, and everything we discussed is something we have already discussed in the last webinar. So just let me know very quickly if you have any doubts or questions in this on this discussion. If not, just type in clear or understood and we'll move over to the next chart. Gold. We actually have a trade running on gold, which is not really going in our favor as of now. What about you, Raghu, Bharti, and others? I can see a lot of members are online, but very few participation here. Thank you, Joe, for the confirmation there. And Raghu as well. Thank you for the confirmation. So since everybody is clear here, let's now head over to our next chart and very quickly see what was being discussed on the chart of gold in our last live webinar. And here is the chart of gold. Let's see what was being said to be clear when we check the live chart here today. All right, that's the setup here. We are looking for WXY kind of correction here. And the analysis here is suggesting the Y to the downside. And we do have alerts placed here for downside trigger. Let's see if I have specifically mentioned the price level. So YouTube increased the speed to 3.5, 3.75. That's the first time I'm seeing it. 4x is the max now. That's good. That's good to recap what has happened. Three, 311. That's it. So I'll pause it here and now let's head over to the live chart here. On screen, we have the live chart of gold and 3311 was short level. So the market is actually reversed from that level, literally touching that. Anyways, so the situation here is that we have a short position here and I'm looking to add more only if we see some more bearish play. To be more precise, something below 3358. If we see a move below it, only then I'll look to add more shorts. Otherwise, it is possible that this analysis is not really playing out and this market is doing something else. So let me just summarize it once again on the hourly chart. What's going on here? So from this point of reference, we are assuming this is the price level around 3451. And since then, which is 14 June roughly, since then we have what looks to be a wave A down and ABCDE for actually not A, wave W down and X up. So we have currently assumed the X here. It is possible that the X is still propagating within this sideways range, sideways box range in yellow, right? So it is possible the X is complete here. It is possible it is still continuing within the sideways range, although we have our primary assumption as the X already complete here, in which case we are looking for downside plays and in which case we have particularly assumed that this is the A down, B up and C down. So something like this of a play we are assuming on this counter. W down, X up, Y down. So this is the kind of play we are looking for and that's why I have entered shorts. And but as such, what we are seeing here is a lot of strength on this candle, which is today's price activity, and basis on that I have already pushed stop losses to 1 second here. 3395 is the current level we are holding the stop set, although technically it should be somewhere here around 3405 on this data feed. But this is the level we are holding it a little bit below the swing. So if this market has to play out, we want it to play out below 33.95. As such, 1 second. So as I was saying, that's the play, and this is the way we are looking for it to play out. But as such, this bullishness is the problem or the reason why we are holding the position with strict stop loss. And other than that, technically speaking, the proper level to add shorts would be below 33.35. Unless you already have a short position, there is no need to average it around 33.58, which is the level we will be looking to average it. So based on your entry and position sizing, the re-entry levels or addition levels will of course vary it. So in this case, new entries should not be made anywhere unless we see any move below 33.40. Apart from it, I don't think there is much to add here. It's just a wait and watch at this point. And of course, if our level is broken around 34.05 plus level is reached, then this probably is doing something else. And in which case, we'll reconsider the analysis. We do have bullish counts. Of course, there's always a bullish count if you want to find it. But as such, as I said, unless we see the relegation or what you call invalidation, to be more precise, we are not really interested or keen on going ahead and looking at the bullish count first. There's nothing much to add here. If you guys have any doubts or questions, you can just type them in the live chat before we move over to the next chart of S&P's 500 before heading on to BTC. We have a question here from Joe. Let's see, is it possible that the WXY correction phase is actually already finished and that we are currently seeing is a wave 1 formation in the other direction? Well, if we are just to consider WXY phase, Joe, then it cannot be considered finished because the Y is required to break the low of W in general. It hasn't really done that. 1 second. As you can see, this is the low of W around 32.54, and this is the next low around 32.67. So it is higher than the last low, so it has not broken the low, and hence it is not something we can consider as the completion of the corrective structure. Therefore, we will have to consider the possibility that this market is still probably continuing with the complex count, unless it is doing completely something else. That's possible, and for that matter, we have considered 3405 as the invalidation level. Hopefully that clears your doubt, Joe. Just let me know in the live chat. And thank you, Raghu, for the confirmation. In that case, let's now head over to the next chart, which will be the chart of S&P's 500. Oh yeah, I forgot the rule about surrounding. You're very welcome, Joe. All right, let's now head over to the next chart of S&P's 500. Now, obviously, let's first load up the past chart discussion before we see the current live chart. So here on screen now, we do have the discussion from last webinar on the chart of S&P's 500. Let's see what was being said. It looks like we had a lengthy discussion on S&P. We are looking for wave B, which can have one leg up before a correction. So that's it. We were expecting upward movement, which will be then be followed by a possible correction, if not straight up move. And the sideways zone is roughly around 6,200 to 65.60 for the C pullback. So basically, what we have is just give me a moment here. So as I was saying, basically what we are seeing over here is a simplified representation of a flat correction. Basically, we are looking at a running kind of structure, or assuming, of course, this is just a hypothetical observation here. And now let's head over to the live chart and see what has happened since then. At the time of last live discussion, the market was at 6460 roughly. And here we do have the live chart on screen. So the market was over here and we were assuming up and then down. So there is a little bit of change in analysis here, and we are assuming that this market is forming a, one second here. Mm. Mhm. So what we have updated is this was posted in the live chat, live Slack group as well. We are expecting that this market is now giving us a simple zigzag move in the other direction, and in a zigzag move we have three legs. Let me just draw that out. This is the first leg. This is the correction called the B leg, and then we have this next leg called the C leg. So here we have the first leg called the A leg as the correction for the B leg. Next leg up is the C leg. So it is straightforward, just that. And this long setup is already triggered, and I do not have the long position here currently on. I'll personally like to add more if we do see a pullback or in the next session, but as such, it has already been triggered with the stop loss. Well, technically, the stop loss should be below B, somewhere a little bit lower to give it some space to play out in case we see a expansion of the sideways range. But technically, you can place it around 6300 or even just at the B low at 6346. But again, as I don't have a position here, there isn't much I can say, or I should say. Once you have a position on, things change or can change. Our perspective can change. That's the proper wording. Anyways, it's already a long triggered setup, and the upcoming upside target is 65.30 each level, and 65.80 each levels are the upside levels. These are the upside levels for this wave C to hit and possibly take some resistance and give some pullback. And apart from all that, nothing really. It's a swing long here. As I said, we are given the rough upside targets as well. And if it just shows extreme bullishness, then it can just continue going up and up. All known scenarios. So we have H1 suggesting minor up. And down and then up. And H2 is suggesting straight up. So we do have a confluence here between this red count and this yellow count. Both are suggesting that there is some upward movement that can be seen on this counter. That being said, we are now done with our analysis on S&P's 500. Isn't much to add, and as I just mentioned, I will be looking for adding longs on this counter. Just is a matter of it's just a matter of waiting and watching for now. All right, there's no question or comments on this discussion yet. If you guys have any doubts, just push them quickly in the live chat before we head over to our next chart of BTC, which is actually performing really nicely. All right, so here's the confirmations. No doubt from Raghu and Joe. All right. So in that case, let's now head over to our next chart of BTC and see things. Actually, instead of heading over, let's just first check what was being said about this this chart in our last webinar, last live discussion. So here is the live feed on BTC, and we are expecting that this market can give upside movement above 122872. So we are just waiting for a bullish breakout. A very standard setup, nothing really that out of the ordinary on this counter. Right. 1 second. We're looking for longs here, and now let's head over and see. The live chart is now on screen in front of you guys. So here, as you can see, we were looking for longs in our last discussion around 15th when the market was somewhere here. We were looking for breakout longs above 12, whatever that level was, 1222, 872 roughly speaking. Right, and since then a lot of things have changed. Since then I was able to spot this diagonal structure in live market. Let's just very quickly show you guys. Here is this update posted on 21st of August, yesterday basically, and we were looking for fifth leg down and then up move with this blue or CN channel or trend line, I mean arrow. And here's the post today. This market has given this down leg. This is the down leg we were pointing out in the last post in our private Slack group, and after that the market has to break this trend line to look for long trades. And the market has already done that. So this has played out precisely well. Picture perfect, I would say. And plus one kind of a trade here. So now what's the landscape for this? It's basically a long trade with stop loss technically around 111695, and we don't even have to put it that low. We can put it somewhere within this range, somewhere between 113283 and 111620. So somewhere near the lows we can put the stop loss, and nothing to add here. Just hold. If it works, it works. If it breaks the stop, we don't want to be in the position at that point in time. So, Raghu, to answer your question, in this particular case, we are looking at ABC correction. So C will have 5 waves in general, and they do seem to have completed. Although it is always possible that the market has decided to become more complex, B has decided to go more sideways, and as such, in theory and in practice, the market can just always propagate within the sideways range. So this has already formed this range between 124501 and below this 111695. 1 second. That's from the past question. So sorry about that. I thought this was a question aimed at this chart. Anyways, just to conclude, there is a possibility that this market just propagates within the sideways range, perhaps even expands the range. Even in that case, we are looking for bullish count, and the market has already given us that. With that being said, we are done with this discussion as well. There really isn't much to add here. It's already a long market. The setup is already playing out nicely, and stop loss is also clear here, and target area and everything is clear. So just let me know if you guys have any doubts or questions. If not, we can conclude the webinar, or we have been checking the chart of NVIDIA. If you would want me to, I can just have a relook at it before we conclude this whole discussion. All right, so Raghu has requested us to check NVIDIA again, and let's just very quickly check what was being said on this counter of NVIDIA before we move over to the actual chart of this stock. So let's load up the past discussions NVIDIA So here's the discussion from our last webinar. Let's remove all the drawings from the current session. And what we are seeing over here is the possibility of wave 4 continuing in the downward direction with this arrow sideways range, and then an up move can pursue. And circle 3, circle 4, and we have some marked levels with this blue support regions. Let's see if I have written something out here. Not really. Anyways, we are just looking for a wave for correction here. Nothing really to add here. Let's now head over to the live chart and see what has really happened since that discussion. So here on screen, we do have the chart of NVIDIA. Last discussion was on 15, somewhere here. Since then, the market has gone actually to the support region, marked support level. It is still possible that it pursues further downside levels, which are coming at 162.71 and 149.71. Let's just mark the next one is 162.9. Let's just say roughly. So roughly, it is possible that the market does pursue itself to take itself to the support level and then moves to the upside. However, that's not a necessity, and it can just take off from here. In either case, we are looking at breakouts here only at 183.54 plus levels. Keep in mind, we are using this data feed. Actually, it's fine. It's fine. Anyways, I'm just used to speaking that because we are mostly into Forex, and they have different data feeds which can change things, targets and levels wise. Anyways, this is a breakout longs, and those who are holding already longs, since we have been covering this since a long time, and this market has been going up as per analysis. So if you are already holding longs, then these support levels can mark out the levels where you can look for more profit booking, not more profit, I mean partial profit booking or trailing stop loss, basically. That's about it for our discussion on NVIDIA. It's a rather clear market, and it has followed our analysis very nicely. Right. So with that being said, if you guys have any doubts or questions, just let me know in the live chat before we move over to nothing. To the close of this webinar, I mean. And before we move and close out the session, I have a request. Kindly do share the content with your friends and colleagues. It looks like YouTube has literally stopped promoting live content, at least for our kind of content, which is quite niche kind of content. Not everybody is into such advanced analysis, etc., etc., if I should say so myself. So kindly do show some support. Our views are dropping like anything. So instead of just hitting a like or leaving a comment, make sure you share the content. That way we can continue doing these webinars more often. And of course, if you are enjoying the content, you can look to enroll in the course. If you aren't already aware of the basics of Elliott Wave to intermediate levels, you can also check out the book. And lastly, this is the last public webinar for this month. Next webinar will be on 29th August 2025. But as you already know, last webinars or last Friday webinars are for members only. So for only private Slack group members will be able to join in that webinar. With that being said, I'll just check the comments here before moving over to the close or moving over and closing this session. Raghu saying wonderful analysis, Neerav. Thank you. You're very welcome, Raghu. And of course, thank you guys, those who stayed till the end. It's always nice to see you here. Thank you so much for your insight on the market, Neerav. You are very welcome, Joe. All right, guys. With that being said, let's now head over and close the session. Of course, make sure to enjoy the weekend and have fun. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and bye for now.